We're back.
We're back.
On the porch, no less.
Julie tells me it's nice out here, a nice breeze. But
it is.
I don't know
it's all
what,
in your head, Mama. It's nice.
What porch she's on, but the porch I'm on is not cool. So we're going to make this pretty snappy.
No, I feel a breeze coming through. So here
it stops with her. But our word for this week makes me stop anyway because I don't want to say anything negative.
Is that our word?
That's our word.
Negative. So we've gone from abundance to negative. And I think it's a great word because to have an abundant life, we have to remove obstacles. And one of them is negativity.
That's right. They don't fit in our plan, in anybody's plan, really. Right. I heard that, I remember, and he emphasized it for my son Tom. And I don't know what I was saying, but it wasn't good. And all of a sudden he popped up and said, "Nothing negative, Mom, nothing negative."
And there it was.
There it was.
It became the family mantra. So not only is the word negative this week, we're going to add a second word.
Nothing
negative.
Yeah.
So we're going to share our mantra with all of you.
That's
and
right.
I love that because I think, there are times in life, though, we don't want to minimize times of sadness and grief, and we're not talking about that because there are seasons of difficulty, and obviously with COVID, we're in one now, but our thinking on this and what we want to share is we don't want you to get stuck in the negative, in the negative narrative. There are people, and you all probably know somebody's coming to mind right now who are stuck in a negative narrative.
And they're not happy.
Yeah.
And so if we have someone like that in our life, we'll try to get them out of it. Right. I mean, it's not a good place to be. Right. And I want to accent the positive every time I can. And right now, there can't be a better example of a positive person than our little Jessie.
Oh, Jessie's such a perfect example.
She's a ray of sunshine.
Yes.
I pick up the phone because she calls me all the time, and right away, I'm happy. I mean, she just has so much emphasis on what's good in the world.
Yes.
Friends, people she meets along the way, her job, everything is upbeat. Right. And she just had major surgery.
Right.
And has had some problems afterwards, but we don't talk about that.
Right.
We talk about the days that are coming.
Well, and I think Jess is such a great example because she's endured at her young age. What is she, 22, 23?
Yeah.
So she's my niece,
Brother
Mike's daughter, and Beth. And she's had a lot of struggles with surgeries and things. She's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
And so she's had shoulder surgeries and all kinds of things. But despite the struggles, even at her young age, she's pushed through with a positive attitude. And that's the thing. And, we all have down days. But I do think Jess is such a great example of someone looking for the positive
and if I
instead
get a
of the
call
negative
from her, somehow, if I was in a slump, couldn't get something on the computer, she perks me up.
Yeah.
And
she's perking up pixie dust. Yeah. Jess is another pixie dust like you.
She's perky. I like that word, perky, too. And I want to be perky.
Right. We want to be perky, positive people like Jess, like you.
Wow.
I have a dear friend, roommate now, Ayana.
Yes.
And she just moved here. So she's in a huge life transition, moved from Chicago and staying with me for a little while. And I will just share this little story. On her second day of work, driving in, and a guy crosses the line and is about to hit her head on. Head on.
Oh.
Second day of work. She swerves, runs off the road, hits the curb, car damage, but she was okay.
That's right. That's
she
the good
continues,
part.
I don't know if she took an Uber into work or whatever. She gets into work, continues with her day, comes home here, and when she walked in, it was like, she's like, "I'm just kind of hungry, Julie. I just need a couple minutes." And I thought it was a little odd because she's usually like spewing with joy. I call her my Jesus girl.
Yeah.
So she was a little off of course, I had no idea she had been in a serious accident. So she eats something, and then she proceeds to tell me the story. She said, I'm really sorry. When I came in, I was so hungry. I hadn't eaten all day.
Oh.
I got in a wreck on the way here, and I was like, on the way to work, and I was like, what? And I just think, and here it was, her second day of work, starting her new life, and it could have derailed her whole start, her whole experience.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
Car went into the shop. She moved along, went to work the next day, was fine, and she didn't stay in the negative.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a rough day.
Oh.
But what she said is, Julie, I could be in the hospital right now. It was coming right at me. And she said,
worse.
She said the incredible thing was there was no car in the lane next to me.
Oh.
And so and so when you look at a situation, I think this is a perfect example. Do you look at the negative and, oh my gosh, I had the worst day, I got hit, almost hit by a car, or like my friend Ayana, I could have been. It could have been so much worse. And it's all a perspective, right? And we're not saying, don't be sad or don't be upset or angry in those moments, because obviously that's not a great way to start a new life.
No, it's not.
Here, but, not staying in that negative. And because there are people on the flip side of that who live in the negative narrative.
Right.
And you don't want to be around them.
No.
They bring you down. They're the opposite of Jess, the opposite of Perky.
I know.
There's a ripple effect, but the other way. And it's hard, to try to boost, you're trying to constantly kind of boost them up, but it drains you after a while.
Yeah, it does.
It drains you.
And it must be a sad life for them.
Right.
I can't even picture it.
Right.
Because every day when I get up, I count my blessings.
Absolutely.
We
need to be grateful.
Oh.
That attitude of gratitude and just saying thank you, Lord, and just we can't do it without the Lord either.
No,
because
we can't.
this joy that people kind of spew, like Ayana and Jess, that's an inner joy and peace. You can't manufacture that. That's beyond happy. That's a joy despite your circumstances. And I always think, me in the Bible, I can't help but throw in a Bible story, but the Apostle Paul in jail.
In jail.
The book of Philippians, if you want to read, it's known as the book of joy. And it's Paul in prison. And he's just spewing. I like the spewing idea, this overflowing.
We talk about overflowing. Letters to cheer other people up.
From jail.
To help them.
Not knowing what's going to happen to him. So he was living beyond his circumstances. That abundance, that overflowing joy that we talked about last week, Paul had that. And so, and that's what we all should want to be. We want that joy. We see it in people. And so, but it really starts inside. It starts with Jesus bringing that joy to us and that peace despite our circumstances.
But he brings it to us. Then it's up to us to accept it or to concentrate on what we don't have.
Absolutely.
On the cup half full. I mean half empty. We have to have the attitude to go with this.
Right.
And regardless, it's easy to say, regardless of what happens, it could have been worse.
Right. It's a perspective. It's looking at a perspective and intentionally trying to see, well, what are the positives, even through the COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of negative. You don't have to look far. And sometimes we have to shut down that negative. You got to shut the TV, shut off the internet, and even Facebook. I mean, we try to use Facebook to, encourage people and to put some positivity out there. But there's a lot of negative, and we have to shut some of that, shut some of that down. But
I'm impressed with how many people are offering up prayers and beautiful pictures of spiritual things on the Facebook.
Right.
And they share them. I know Joe Bennett, he's always got them up. I look forward to it every day.
He's another positive person.
Christy, my friend Christy, she's always positive, and she just lost her mother. But she's bounced back. She knows that God has her, and I'm just so happy to be surrounded by these people.
Right, all those positivity, and we want to be those people.
Oh, many of the people in Julie's single group, it's so enlightening to be part of that group, because they always see the glass half full. And
well, we try. There are times when we get together, when we have our prayer nights, where there are people just sobbing and kind of letting it out. And you have to do that because a lot of the people in our group are divorced or they're widow or widowers. They've had a lot of loss. But so
you can share that with them.
We share it, and then we lift each other up to help move forward and not stay stuck.
Yeah.
And and that's the importance of community and doing this together. But there are things like depression. We know you do get stuck, and that requires more than just people. That can require medical intervention and help. And of course, we've dealt with that in our family. Specifically, I have, and so that's really tough. But what we're talking about is really seeing things differently. And I had a visit with another friend today, Becky, my dear Becky Malik, and she just lost her beloved little kitty, Heather, 15 years. And I know some people are like, oh, big deal, but our furry family members, these are family members here, so this is a big deal. Yeah. Especially when you're single, as Becky is, it's a companion.
Oh, yes.
And so I've stopped by to
the family.
Absolutely. I stopped by to try to cheer her up and bring her a little something, and she was so sweet, and she said, Julie, it's all perspective, and I had Heather for 15 years.
Yeah.
And she said, I went into work, and, her schedule at work has changed, so now she's working nights, and it's not a good situation, but she said, at least I have a job.
Yes.
And then she said, I thought it was very interesting, that she works with a man from Lebanon. And she said that he said to her the other day, Becky, the worst day in America is better. The worst day in America is better than the best day in Lebanon.
I believe that.
And so we, again, our perspective.
Oh, we take it for granted.
We don't, exactly. We do have the abundant life here, so many of us. And yes, we're struggling, and we need to come through this together, but also see the positives. And one of the positives of COVID is I got to see both of my kids.
Yes, that's
and what a blessing that has been.
I got to see them too.
Yeah, and so we're with our families, and that is a blessing. And there's so many things.
And we have hope. We know that it's going to be better. Everything is going to get better. We don't even think about the alternative because we have God, and He always makes things better.
Yeah.
And I went to an ENT doctor this morning. I've had a problem with my left ear, and I thought, oh, it's not that bad. It's not hanging, And he said, how long have you had this? And he was amazed, but it seemed so minor, And that's the way we don't want to look at it that way all the time. But there are people with major problems.
Right. And you know what? And the fact that you could just go to the doctor and have that taken care of, we take that for granted. A lot of people don't have that.
Exactly.
We've been to Africa. Yeah. You don't have that kind of medical care. So
that's right.
We have so many blessings, and this week we just want to focus on them.
Oh,
we want to share our family mantra, nothing negative.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
I know
Tommy.
We need prayers for Tom. He's going to have another knee
surgery.
replaced.
That's right.
Tomorrow,
yes.
And
so we're praying for you, Tommy.
The first knee went beautiful.
Yes.
And the second knee is going to be as good. We know that right now.
That's right.
So if you're out there listening, take our word for it.
Yes, Tommy. Right? Nothing negative. The new knee, you're going to be a new and improved version.
That's right.
And we're grateful.
Yeah.
So we want to hear, I think we'll post some things on Facebook this week. We want to hear your positives. How about positives that are happening in your life right now, even through COVID? We want to hear all positives, nothing negative.
Nothing negative.
And we hope that if you're stuck in a negative narrative, that you reach out to people. Reach out to friends. Reach out to family. Yeah. You don't have to stay stuck.
No.
And that's what God says. God always, is the God of second chances and
He's
a new
put
start.
People in our lives.
Yes.
Friends, confidants. You can open up and get that off your mind.
Right.
And then go on.
Right. To the abundant life.
Yes, to the abundant life.
There
and
we
that's
are.
what we're wishing for all of you.
There she goes. Because we're done on the porch. And see, it wasn't that bad now, was it? It wasn't that hot.
Nothing negative. Nothing negative.
There we go. Okay, have a great week. Nothing negative.
Exactly. Exactly.